Hello and welcome. My name's Zach. Today I'm going to be showing you the SMMA versus the AAA versus the SaaS, all in a single video. We're going to keep it simple, concise, and highlight the differences between a social media marketing agency, artificial intelligence automation agency, and a software as a service. So each of these are business models that you could start online if you wanted to get into business on the internet. And each of these are distinct in the features, the pros and cons, the different attributes involved when starting and running one of these companies. So let's go ahead and let's start by highlighting the main skill sets that you're going to need to know about at minimum when trying to start one of these companies. So with the social media marketing agency, you're going to want to have a good understanding of copywriting and graphic design. This is important because you're going to be creating advertisements for your clients and posting them across different advertising channels on behalf of them. And even if you do use the method commonly known as arbitrage, you're still going to have to check the work to make sure that everything is up to standard with your agency. With the AI automation agency, you're going to want to have a good understanding of the different AI tools that exist and some integrations that you can use within them. And then finally, with SaaS, you're going to want to learn programming. You're going to want to know programming. If you don't have a solid foundation in programming, starting a SaaS company is possible, but it's not as easy because you're going to be stuck within the bounds of whatever no-code development tool you're using. That's going to have its limitations. Let's start off by looking at this graph that I found extremely interesting. I snipped it off of Google Trends. And as you can see here, this is the search term social media marketing agency versus the AI automation agency. And over time, this is measured 1 year YouTube search worldwide. Over time, you can see social media marketing agency on average has a lot more attraction, but the AI automation agency recently has spiked and is continuing to grow in its dominance on YouTube. Very interesting to see that we have now spiked past where the SMMA is. Here's another graph that I found. Let's pull this one up. And this has SMMA versus AAA versus SaaS. So you can see here that on average, AAA and SaaS actually dominate over SMMA in the past 12 months on YouTube. And you can see right here that SaaS and AAA have been going strong above, but there was a big spike in the AI automation agency right around December of 2022. Hint for everybody that can't figure out what that's from, that's when ChatGPT was officially released, right around November of 2022, end of November, early December of 2022. I've given you a very quick overview of the basic skills that you would need when trying to start either a social media marketing agency, artificial intelligence automation agency, or a software as a service company. Here is something to keep in mind in general for all of those businesses. You're going to need leadership if you want to start them off yourself. If you want to be a founder, you have to have that leadership quality. You're going to need networking. You're definitely going to need sales, and you're going to need some degree of high-level marketing. And this is to make sure that you can actually spread awareness of your company, pull leads in, make sales, and continue networking around. So within the SMMA, what are some specific tools that you might need to use? So Facebook and Google ads, they speak for themselves. This is where you're going to actually be taking the ads for your clients and propagating them out to the end consumer. That's B2C advertising, and you're doing it on behalf of your clients, whatever niche you're within. Go High Level is a general marketing tool that can be used for all kinds of website building, contact automation, lead capturing, things of that sort. Canva can be used for designing advertisements for your clients, as well as scheduling social media posts for your clients. And then Flowzy is actually an app done by Gadget, and you can use this to send out invoices, keep all of your clients consolidated in one place, kind of like a hub for clients and networking, communicating with them. You can give them all logins so that they can communicate with you via that portal. This is not a comprehensive list, merely something that if you're operating in the space, you need to be aware of these things. So for the AI automation agency, Zapier, get to know that name right now if you want to get into AI automation. That's something that connects between all different kinds of APIs and all different kinds of services. It's like the bridge. Think of it as a pipe that can go between different apps that you use, connecting the pieces in between. BotPress and Stack AI are both AI process building tools. So a lot of people use them to build chatbots, but you can actually use them for a lot more complicated AI automation tasks. And they also integrate with Zapier. Then MindsDB and Pinecone.io. These are basically vector databases. MindsDB goes a little bit more in depth. And in essence, they allow you to have long-term memory with some of your chatbots. So you can build databases with client files. So if you were going to take a full document from a company that wants to hire you, you can plug all that information into MindsDB or to Pinecone.io. All of the long-term information you want your chatbot to have, so you don't have to keep prompting it. Hook that up with Stack AI, with BotPress, with Zapier, or with any of the other tools that you use. And then from there, you'll have running access to all the data within. It's called a vector database, MindsDB, Pinecone.io. Check them out. So for SaaS, what do you need to be familiar familiar with. JavaScript. This is a big one. It's pretty self-explanatory, but if you don't know how to code, it's going to be a little bit tough to do the custom elements within a software as a service company. The GPT-4 API is pretty essential for all things that you do these days. You can use it to actually help you write code, but you can also use it to automate all different types of things within your SaaS product. Bubble.io is a no-code solution. Backendless is also a no-code UI builder, and Weezer.io is actually a visual graphic UI builder. So you can sketch something out on paper, drop it into Weezer.io, and then export code from that. Pretty fascinating. So this is a very high level of what you can expect when getting into an SMMA, AAA, or an SaaS business. I now want to go over this comparison chart that I've built of different things to keep in mind. So the primary skills that you need in SMMA speaks for itself, but you need social media ad strategy, the ability to create content, and SEO. Some of that stuff can be arbitraged out like we spoke about, but you're going to want to verify everything, especially if it's passing through under your brand name. The AAA, you're going to need problem solving. This is huge. Companies will have lots of different things that they want to automate. It's your job to determine the viability and the scale and the scope of the problem at hand, and then use AI tools to solve them. And then SaaS, you need to be able to develop software. The startup costs for an SMMA are relatively low. It doesn't cost much, especially if you're not making guarantees, which you really shouldn't be when you're just starting out. Within the AAA, the cost for software is a little bit higher, so you're going to incur some costs paying for different software tools, paying for those bridges between software tools, and actually providing solutions to your clients. A lot of these costs can be passed on to the clients, but you are going to have to pay for some things yourself that your agency will use to operate. And then with SaaS, obviously high startup costs. Either need to do it yourself or hire a team of developers depending on the scope of your project. Revenue potential for an SMMA is high, it's been high, and it remains high. There's lots of scalability. We can actually cover these at the same time. Very good business to get into, although we'll get into how competitive it is in a few moments. The AAA, very high revenue potential. You can charge a lot for these services and a high degree of scalability. There's lots of room for expansion within this industry. And then the SaaS, extremely lucrative to build a SaaS product, and scalability is very high. The pros and cons of an SMMA. There's a wide demand. Every business can benefit from SMMA services. Bunch of different niches that you can go into, and it's considered entry level. Not too hard to break into the SMMA space. That is also a disadvantage because it becomes highly competitive and watered down. Obviously, we've got a bunch of people, a bunch of kids now running SMMAs out of their parents' basement, and sometimes they let clients down, and that does affect the industry and the way it's perceived as a whole by business owners. The pros of the AAA, it's cutting edge, broad application, and there is a high skill gap, which gives a barrier to entry for anybody that wants to come break in and do what you're doing. There's going to be a lot for them to learn in way of the skills that you know. And once you have your project and your company underway, it's not going to be that easy for people to catch up in the same way that it is with the SMMA. Next is value ignorance, API dependence. It's so new, everything that's going on in the AI automation space, that a lot of business owners don't understand how it can benefit their business, and they're ignorant to the value that it adds. And then API dependent. You don't want to get to the point where you depend on an API so heavily that if they go down, you go down. An example of this could be what happened with the Reddit situation. All of those apps that were built on top of Reddit as Reddit browsers, Reddit viewers, totally got nuked as soon as Reddit upped their API charges and basically flipped the whole industry on its head. So don't get too locked in with being dependent on an API if you can help it. Obviously, the bigger ones like GPT-4 should be safe, but just keep an eyeball on that at all times. And then SaaS. The obvious pros of SaaS are scale, simple MRR, that means people pay on a subscription base to use your service without having to do any additional work. You have worldwide reach, you're not bound geographically, plus there's the opportunity for M&A. And this is absolutely huge. If you get acquired as a SaaS company, there's multi-million-dollar deals on the table. So just keep that in mind. Although there is higher startup costs and it does take a lot more work to develop a SaaS product, the potential of being acquired outshines everywhere else. Now, the cons of a SaaS. There is competition, frequent updates required, and more customer service demands. You're going to have to be dealing with unhappy customers, help desk issues. There is much more in way of serving your customers. Current trends within SMMA, video content. A lot of people have been doing static advertising content for a while, and it works. It's tried and tested, it's bread and butter. But if you can get into video content, you're going to be ahead of the curve. Personalization of the messaging. Again, this can be done with AI. You can do hyper personalization, extremely targeted, every single different market. Many people do this already, but doing that hyper targeted targeting using AI is going to set you ahead of the pack, as well as influencer marketing. This is not really an avenue that has been fleshed out too much in the SMMA space, but there's a lot of people starting to talk about it, and there's a lot of potential for growth. I was just reading about this the other day. The whole industry is expected to jump from $7 billion in 2022 up to $70 billion by 2029. It's a 10x jump in market valuation over just 6 years. That's quite amazing, the growth that's projected in influencer marketing. Make sure that you keep an eye on that if you want to operate within the SMMA space. With AAA, some of the current trends are chatbots, predictive analytics, and process automation. Somewhat speaks for itself, but helping companies use the data that they have to get better insight from it, automate some of the tasks that are repetitive or laborious for them, and integrate chatbots that help them have 24/7 customer support. And then finally, in SaaS, specialized business software, mobile app development, specifically PWA, which is a web app that can be downloaded onto a phone. Very interesting what's going on with that. And then cloud solutions. All of your software should be run in the cloud to some degree. It allows for much higher revenue potential via subscriptions and not as much risk of having your software pirated or cracked. So that all being said, that is my rundown of the SMMA versus the AAA versus the SaaS model. Hope that you learned something today. You know what to do if you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.